Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai. Sadguru Sri Ananta-Ji ki Jai.
The main thing I'm saying is that before the sound of the click, you are free. You are that. You are everything that you are looking for. The mind needs time. You don't need time. What are you right now? What are you right now? To conceptualize what you are, you need time. And you could have conceptualized 100 million things in the past. And yet, in this moment, you can't help but be free. Beautiful cheat code, no? Through all the trouble, whatever you may do, you may have considered yourself the biggest sinner, you may have considered yourself the biggest saint, doesn't matter. Because right now, you are free. Independent of everything else. Before the click, all your but and if, when, what can only happen after. But what about before? Now, we were discussing yesterday that sometimes we feel like we are not able to meet this. You can feel like, what is Ananta talking about? What is this? Is it? It sounds too absurd or abstract. Is it? So, what is the expansion I have for this? If you can't meet it like this, is it? Then I can give you another pointer, which is that I say if to know even one thing is to know too much. Siri is answering on my behalf. If to know even one thing is to know too much, what is it that you know when you know nothing? There's nothing special in that. It's the same. You see? But we have something more coming because of that response. If to know even one thing is to know too much, what do you know when you know nothing? And the most common response I get to that is nothing. You see? But to know that is also too much. With me on this, or still too absurd? Right? Say really, too absurd. So many I realize, especially if you're new to satsang, you cannot meet this also because it can again, you see, sound too strange. So I have an expansion of that also, which most of you know, is the four bowls. It's almost like a thought experiment, but it is beyond thought. So what are the four bowls? In the first bowl, all knowledge you gain through perception, everything that you think you know, including perceiving itself, you see, goes into the first bowl. So all perception. I'm sitting, There are people sitting in front of me. This is a room. All of this is through perception. You see? So during this inquiry, it goes into the first bowl. You see, we're not pushing it away, we're not doing anything with it, just allowing it to be categorized in the first bowl. Simple as that. Don't make it complex. Now, there are many things that you think you know just conceptually. Like some of you may think that life is fair, some of you may think life is very unfair. You see? So, both of this you can't really know perceptually because life is too broad to know in that way. But conceptually, you may have an idea of it. Or simpler ideas of the sun seems to, in perception, go around the earth or go from east to west. You see? But actually, it is the earth that is going around the sun. You see? But we still think we know conceptually these ideas. So, whatever ideas that we have that we don't have a perception about, also, we put it into the second bowl. The third bowl is a subset of the first two, but it's important to call out separately is that everything we want out of spirituality, all our spiritual desires, even if we just say, but all I want is peace, all I want to be in is peace, even that spiritual desire goes in the third bowl. Enlightenment, freedom, wanting to be in a particular state, wanting to discover who you are, everything. All want, especially spiritual want, goes into the third bowl. Now the question is, what is left in the fourth bowl? What did not go in any of the three bowls? And if you feel like everything went, find out in which bowl you went. In which bowl did you go? So this is an expansion of the same click. If you meet me at the click, no need for any other expansion before the click. But if it feels strange and you have to be true to your own heart about that, if it feels like, what is he saying? Then ask yourself, what do you know when you know nothing? What do you know when you know nothing? If that sounds again strange and absurd, add the four bowls. So, and in this way, actually, all of spiritual pointing keeps expanding depending on where it needs to be met. You see, that's where all the books come from, all the scriptures come from. Just an expansion. So we can keep expanding more and more. In the same way, the two main suggestions on our path, you see, are self inquiry and surrender, all pointing to the same thing actually. What happens in self inquiry? Anything that you perceive, ask yourself who witnesses that. Then you say, a thought comes and says that, you see, but who witnesses the thought? It is not about the content of the thought, but who witnesses the thought. Then you say, I am, I am. You see, but who is amming? To say it colloquially, who is this I that is? You come to the same point. And some of you may say, but this inquiry, who am I? What's the point? I've tried it. No peace comes. You see? So it's very important that my tip is when you do the inquiry, don't be an experience chaser. Don't go spiritual sightseeing. Don't worry about which state is coming or not coming. Stay with the question, who are you? Till it becomes apparent to you who you are. Now, some are temperamentally not there to do the inquiry, or they don't feel like inquiry is the right way for them. Then the other main suggestion is to surrender. So, what is surrender? Whatever proposal or invitation is coming from the mind is Guru's problem, Satguru's problem, Father's problem, God's problem, whatever you want to say. It's all one divine, different terms. But whatever you feel most devoted to, is it Ram's problem, Krishna's problem. Don't make anything a thing. Is it? Don't make anything a thing. Just hand it over to the divine. That is surrender. Is it? So, in all of this, you have enough tools and ammunition to come to your self discovery. I can offer, if some of you are trying something, I can offer you tips based on where you are. For example, some get very stuck. Like, how do I even approach this? How do I start to approach this fourth bowl? Is it? Many of you may have this, okay, perception went there, concepts went there, desires went there. Now, Father just left us saying, what's in the fourth bowl? But how do I even start looking at this? Is it? So then I can give you a tip. I say, okay, are you aware now? Is it? That affirmation, yes. What is the recognition on the basis of which the yes can be spoken? The recognition, not the speaking of it. Don't worry about the mechanics of the confirmation, but I'm talking about the recognition itself. Was it a first bowl recognition? Are you aware now? Perception of awareness? Who's ever had a perception of awareness? With me starting to sound too abstract, I can speak louder because when I start to lose attention. So, do you perceive this awareness? Is what I'm saying. You see, if you did, then it would belong in the first bowl. How many feel like you perceive this awareness? How many feel like you don't perceive it? Is it? Don't perceive it. Very good. So, so you don't perceive it. You see, you may say that I'm aware of the perception of something, and that is perceived, the off part. You see, but the awareness itself unperceived. You see, now, so doesn't belong in the first bowl. What about the second? Are you just confirming yes? Because all the masters have said you are awareness. Bhagwan said awareness is another name for you. That is why you confirm it, because you learned it. Is it conceptual knowledge? Is it? No. Are you with me, guys? There's not conceptual knowledge, and it's definitely not a desire. But the third goal is you may have a desire to say yes. So if it is just like that, then put it there. But that's a simple one for all of you. Then, on what basis does that come? On what recognition are you confirming it? Mhm. And that awareness, where is it not? Are you separate from it? Is there a you sitting there as either the owner of this awareness or an object within this awareness? Is there a you like that? With me? Is there a you that owns this awareness? Like awareness is mine. Is there a you like that? Or is there a you even as if it is an object within this awareness? A limited you. You see? Sometimes I ask you, where are you that awareness is not? And where is awareness that you are not? So you can use these. I'm going fast, so you can use these for your own contemplation, for your own discovery. See, Nandi?
So I was going through your book. One page can take a couple of hours, right?
Yes, yes. Sorry. Well, that's the sorry. We'll come to your question, but that's the advantage of the book. You see, like Garima, my wife, she rarely listens to me in satsang. No? So, but she loved my book, Consciousness Speaking with Consciousness, because she could read it at her pace, and the concept of husband speaking was not there when she was reading the book. So one time we were just sitting together, and she said, "Can you read your book to me?" And I said to her, "But I'm sitting here. Yeah, I can. I don't want you to say. Read the book." So the main advantage of the book, of course, is that you can read at your own pace. So by the way, he said one page took a long time. Yeah.
As a follow up to that, so when you said what level, at which level of awareness,
Yeah.
still, I'm at home, I'm aware there.
Yeah.
Now I'm here.
Yeah.
Is it that awareness following the senses of my body? So where am I?
Where is this awareness? Is it located in this room?
Yeah, I mean here and now. Then at least here will come there.
Don't theorize. Let's just look.
Yeah, it's here.
Where? So when you say here, are you talking about just the sense of here-ness of it, or do you mean spatially here? You know what I mean? Like, if I was to ask you what is the location of it in this room, would you be no? So it actually is not like physically located in this room. You see?
It's around my body, around my
Where?
senses.
Look. Let's look at this. It's very good. So how much around? What is the radius, circumference?
Cannot figure it out. It can
It can be anywhere. In fact, we feel like we can send our attention to the street, we can send our attention outside, we can close our eyes and send our attention to most distant concepts that we may have, you see. But your attention can never leave your awareness. You see? So it is impossible to define spatially. So is it that awareness moves? Or is it that the content of perception change? Just like the content of the movie screen changes moment to moment, and yet the audience, the witness of it, remains unchanged. This is worthy contemplation. See? Otherwise, we will struggle with notions that masters have told us that the entirety of time and space is just conceptual or notional. If we start to believe in the location of awareness itself in spatial or temporal terms, then these things will seem strange to us. You see? So in satsang like this, before we can conclude, you see, and they may seem like the most obvious conclusions. कि ये तो है ही यार, what is he saying, you know? You see, it can sound absurd, but even those can be questioned. Like if I was to ask you right now, where are you? Where are you looking at all of this from? You see? So most of us may have an idea that I am some small object sitting behind my eyes or something like that. But it's just not true. And can this object made up of food contain anything other than an object? No matter how good the falafel was, can it contain pure spirit? So, so this is worth contemplating, because we can have this idea that I'm somewhere inside the body, but if you were something inside the body, then you would also be an object. You see, and some surgeon or some medical expert would have found you by now, saying, "Hey, there you are. You were hiding so long over there." You're just this tiny earthworm or something inside the body. That cannot be it. No? So the you, where is it? You see? And and when these most obvious things for the mind, these are, I'm here, man. Like what are you asking? You see? These most obvious things can be asked. No? Then the mind gets very irritated. You see? It's like, what? Because it questions the very foundation of the lies that we have built in our heads. You see? We don't even know where we are. In a question like, are you aware now? You're taking the recognition that you're having is not in this universe, by the way. You may think you're having it inside your body or something. It is not like that. You have left this universe to recognize your true self. And that true self is the same one Ashtavakra spoke about. And he said, you are the ocean in which the arcs of the universes come and go. Just by checking, am I aware now? You discover yourself to be this. See? So don't limit what your insight is around any mental clothes or any mental fig leaf. Allow it to be naked. You see? Allow it to be naked. Question what you think is the most obvious. You see? Otherwise, what will happen is the mind will sneakily sell you the story of yourself being just another object in time and space. And then all this talk about you being beyond the manifest will just sound like lip service. You see? And then what will happen? Then the third bowl of spiritual desire will still be rampant. Okay, now that I discovered I am awareness, uh, are my relationships going to improve? You see, is my emotional condition going to change? You see, these are the byproducts of you taking yourself to still be an object and trying to use that which is beyond objectivity for the advantage of this object. You see? But what you are discovering is that you are not this object. At best, it is this objective universe which shows up within you and disappears. Every night it disappears. And there is no guarantee which one is going to show up again. But I won't digress that far. See? I won't digress that far. See? But the point is that if you apply worldly measures to your discovery of yourself as awareness, then it is the mind presenting the mask of ego to you in one way or the other. And us, because we feel like I must understand this in some way, us accepting it, and then it just becomes like a theory and not really a living, you see, beyond living experience. You see?
Still, I feel always that the center is me, as a body,
Yeah.
for the awareness.
Huh?
I still cannot imagine or
Yeah.
be aware. So awareness changes. if my location changed, so isn't it wrong then?
So,
Why it is
so
following my
I feel
location?
like let's clarify the definition so that we know we are talking about the same thing. Yes. Now, like for example, I would say awareness never changes. You would say awareness is changing. So obviously, we must be talking about different things. You see. Now, when you say awareness, are you talking about attention or the content of perception?
So uh, you said that it doesn't have boundaries, and even I could not find boundaries. But again, the center is still around my senses. So am I again talking about
Find
attention?
it where is it around your senses?
No, I cannot pinpoint it. But
So don't slowly, don't speculate because speculation will get you in trouble.
okay,
You see, there's a proposal coming into your head saying, but it's around my senses. You see, now what we should do is be very scientific about that and say, okay, where? See, don't accept it at face value. You see, where? Because unless you start to question all these constructs, you see, then we will just make another construct, conceptual construct of the truth. You see, so so in meeting that, you see, the mind may resist that at times and say, but isn't that obvious? What is he saying, asking me to question this? You see, like it may sound obvious to you that my awareness is just around my senses. You see, but it won't sound obvious to her. You see, so all of us can look and clarify for ourselves. If the truth is truth, then it must be universal, isn't it? At least the truth that we are after. We've had enough of a subjective truth, which every day people are fighting about. So we are looking for now a universal truth, which, irrespective of religion, irrespective of belief system, we must be able to discover, isn't it? So, so we are fundamentally looking at this now. So let's see if we can look at it together. There is a set of perceptions that we are perceiving at any moment. Like right now, there is a set of perceptions. Yes. Now you are aware that there is sight. Yes. So you're looking at this body in front of you. That is sight. So you are aware of this sight, isn't it? That awareness, is it sight? This I want to also see it in you. Don't worry about coming to the right or wrong answer right now. You see, you're hearing these words. You see, so you're aware of hearing, but is that awareness hearing? So this is worth contemplating. You could be aware of smell, taste. You could be aware of those perceptions that we call inner perception, imagination, memory, thought. You see, but is that awareness, imagination, memory, thought? You see, there is awareness of all of this perception. You see, but that awareness, independent of what the perception may be, remains unchanged. You see, in my experience, and you can share yours. You can share yours, just so that we can come to the same page. It doesn't have to be my page. It doesn't have to be my page. So if you say, for example, but Ananta, I look for this awareness, and I feel like it is just sight. It is just sight. You see, then I could look again and say, is it just sight? Sight. I say, no, there's awareness of sight, which is independent of sight. So if sight was to go away, this awareness would still be there. And this can come from just like what we call pure looking. Because if you try to apply any concept to it, like it has to be like that or it must be like this, then it just gets muddled up. You see? So what is happening is because you're reading the book and things like that, some defrosting will happen to the mind, and it'll allow you to contemplate these things, which most people in the world won't have the space to contemplate. If I had this conversation with somebody just randomly on the street, chances are, get away from me. What are you talking about? You see? So this is the this is our opportunity to just look for ourselves and say what is aware of all of this realm of perception. So many different type of perception: sight, sound, touch, taste, feeling. You see all of these things, various sensations, many categories of sensations. But is that awareness in different categories? So when we ask, am I aware now? Is that based on sight? Is it based on sound, touch, smell, taste? That recognition is beyond these modes of knowledge. That is the beauty of this. That all these modes of knowledge may vanish and will vanish. And yet this remains. Everything in the realm of perception comes and goes. And yet you remain as this. Now what questions can you have? So if we were to presume that we're in the same experiment, that every perception I'm unconcerned about for the moment is going in the first bowl. You see? Everything that I think to be true, but I don't even have a perception of it, you see, that goes in the second bowl. And everything that I want, especially as a seeker, spiritual wanting, goes in the third bowl. If you remain in the same experiment, what are your questions or doubts about the fourth bowl? That is my primary concern for today before we get into the first three. You see, because the mind will always present you questions to do with the other three, but it won't like spending too much time contemplating the fourth bowl. So, is there any doubt about the inquiry, about the question?
But there is no doubt. Like when you say everything is very clear,
Yeah,
but the way, like you just said, the way mind presents,
yeah,
and so swiftly it
yeah,
presents it brings it back.
yeah,
Like I was standing there, and suddenly I felt like there is no devotion, there is no surrender, there's nothing.
yeah.
Like something very strongly, I'm seeing this, and this is like it's not empty.
So, if we go slowly, no? So I was standing there is first bowl. That there was no devotion is second bowl. Because you have a concept, I have no devotion, no surrender.
No, I just felt at that point of time.
When you say you felt, mean?
Like something energy. There was some.
Yeah, see.
Something
So if it is energy, first bowl. If it is thought, it's second bowl.
No, but the feeling,
Feeling mean?
feeling is the sense of that I'm.
Perceived, first bowl.
That's what I'm saying. That the way mind presents.
Second bowl. The way mind presents is the second bowl. The what is perceived is first bowl.
Clear. So sometimes it feels like when you say.
When you say it feels like, means what?
Like when you say it is seen, when it's clear. When one time it's so clear, then why it has to go again?
Why is definitely second bowl. The point is not to shut you up or something. No?
Yeah,
The point is just to see how we fall for the same traps.
same trap again
You
and
see?
again.
But
Sometimes
that
I'm
is also
getting
second
tired
bowl.
of getting
See, that's what happened to the second bowl.
it's like
What is tired? Nothing.
mind gets
Let it be no good if it's tired.
and at sometimes it is so clear. Sometimes it
Second
is
bowl.
what is clear then? If that is what's helping in this
Second
person.
bowl.
I don't know.
Second bowl.
See like this, what is happening
Now
right now?
that is I don't know. You see? Now, is there a knowing which is independent of what you could know?
Yeah.
Which bowl is that in?
Third bowl. No bowl. Fourth bowl. So
But that's it, you see, because the mind will present proposals and invitations to you to make a shape out of it. You see, everything, that's what it does. Everything that we encounter, the mind is ready with its mold saying, this is that actually, this is that. You see? And it's just presenting these things to us. You see? Look back at your day to day and see how many things you put in your mental molds.
everything.
Everything. So stop it.
Like you feel it that it's everything is a mental. Like without knowing it also it falls into
So stop it.
No,
What's the
I
best
get
time to
same
stop it?
now.
Yeah. You see? Because that I put everything into a mental mold is also a mental mold. So the point is to notice that and just to become empty. And it's almost like a primal need in the human condition now, at least in the grown-ups. You see? At least in the grown-ups. Like the innocence of children, they don't have this condition. They can just play without making anything a thing. But at least in the so-called grown-ups, like we have to encounter everything through a mental lens of understanding. And we feel like that is helping us, but that is what is oppressing us. These are the hands of the thousand-handed monster in the Yoga Vashisht, which is making us suffer. Our own hands are making us suffer. Our hands of notional understanding. They are crumbs. They are crumbs, like bread crumbs. You see, compared to the feast of the Lord, which is your very heart, your intuitive insight. These ideas that you think you're right about conceptually, they're nothing. You see? Nothing. I see there are some hands up. So let's go to Shivoham. I see him first. Hello.
Hello.
My dear.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And so, well, I want to expose again and again the belief that oh, yeah, I can't be empty.
You can't be empty.
Yes, it's like or totally empty, or it's like it seems that well, um, it's I keep falling in the trap that I keep expecting something, expecting
Third bowl stuff. Third bowl.
exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I wanted to give it to
Okay.
you again. And
Let's do an experiment on this.
yes.
Let's do an experiment on this. So your task now is to be fully full, to not be empty. This moment, this moment,
Yeah.
this moment, now, right now, now, right now. Are you full yet? Now, right
Yeah,
now.
I'm very good at that.
Huh? 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 Right now. It is impossible to be caught up. It takes work, it takes effort to suffer. You see? It takes
Yeah.
effort to misunderstand yourself. It takes effort to limit yourself.
Yeah.
This is the master key, This is the master, that it is not effort to be free, but effort to limit yourself.
Yeah.
What's your name? Now. See? Even that limitation of name and form takes
Yes.
time. Even
Yes.
that takes time. Even if your name is the most auspicious, like Shivoham.
Yeah.
But even that is subject to time. Is it? All your identity, which country, which religion, which family, which gender, all of this takes time. You are naturally empty of this right now. That's why it is the emptiness which is easier actually. But the mind has another idea of what that should mean for me, which is
Yeah.
the third, and that trips us up. That's why we made a separate bowl, Suresh. What is the expectation?
The expectation. A lot of expectations. Maybe it's like yeah, it's too.
So, is there an expectation that you should be empty of expectation?
Yes.
So, leave that also. One tip I'll give you, and it's for all of you. I don't know if I mentioned it in the broadcast so far, but don't try to explain anything to yourself, especially about truth, God, self, if you would not bother to explain it to a squirrel. Don't try to understand anything about any of this if you would not bother to explain it to a squirrel.
Oh, sorry.
I'm happy to repeat this one. Don't bother to understand anything about the truth if you would not bother to explain it to your squirrel. You know squirrel?
Squirrel, the animal? No?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
Okay.
Hamster.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then where does that leave you?
Yeah, I need to say it. It's okay, but something is missing. Yeah, I follow you, but
Yeah, yeah.
okay, but yeah, but I don't know.
So we're back to that point about expectations, isn't it? That
Yes, of course.
what would it be if it was not missing? How would you know?
Yeah. Oh
What
my
would it look
God.
like? Would there be a halo? Would there be superpowers? Yeah, what would it be? Just a
Yeah,
presence of all the time.
yeah. What I see is that I keep giving meaning to words and to yeah to
Yes, exactly, exactly,
in the
exactly. It's almost like once we take words to be relevant or reflective of reality, reflective in the sense like they have the ability to reflect what is true. You see, that is
yeah,
what is called belief, isn't it? So
yes,
once we apply words to what is manifest, you see, and we sometimes struggle and we try to apply words even to the unmanifest, but mostly what we struggle with is to apply words to the manifest. It is
yeah,
trying to uh, uh, create a narrative which has a timeline of past and future. You see,
yes,
because what everything that is manifesting right now, you cannot put it into any narrative.
no,
You see, it would be too much for your mind to handle. Put everything that is being perceived right now into your narrative and tell me your story from 5 days. Everything that you experience, you cannot do it. You see, so it
no,
has to be cut down to the very primitive, basic levels. You know, Jurassic Park type stuff, where oh, this is what happened to me. The me is presumed. What happened is presumed. Everything is presumed in that. You see, and it's very very primitive meaning making that is oppressing us, because what is, even what is manifest, is impossible to insert in any timeline. And the mind is just selling us stories. You see, the mind is just selling us stories. Without the narratives, there's no mind. So if you want to be truthful about even what happened to me as a body mind, can we be truthful about it?
no,
Mind does not have the capacity for it. You see? So it picks and chooses themes, conveniences, you see, topics. It tries to mold everything into the theme so the narrative doesn't break. You see? That's why you'll notice that everybody, not just for yourself, but everyone who comes to satsang, all your sangha brothers and sisters, also seem to keep suffering from the same condition, because everything that is appearing to them in life, which is so unblemished and so broad, the mind projects the same lens upon it and tries to mold everything into that story. You see? And whether it is the victim story or the special story or the whatever story. You see? So it is not that life is like that, because life is always all there is, but because our mold is like that.
mm,
You see? And in coming to satsang, I'm inviting you to smash these molds.
yeah,
You see? Smash these molds. Stop trying to understand what is, meet what is. You see? And when I say stop trying to understand what is, it includes what should I do specially, what do I need to do specially, and then um, uh, what do I want, how should I live. You see, all of those things. So don't oppress your life, which is so broad and beautiful and is God itself. Don't try to oppress it by trying to fit it into some mental lens that you have about it. And what makes that mental lens? You rightly said, it is the words, it is language.
Yeah.
You see, you go to a pond, you may see hundreds of beautiful creatures there, but it's too much for the mind to fathom. So the mind says, I saw 100 ducks. Over, finished. End of story. So, but each is unique. Each is beautiful. Each is a work of art. You see? Divine work of art. But the minute we label it, finished. You see? Each of you, each of your body is the unique creation of God. Beautiful, not replicated. Your eyes, fingers, no cell really is ever possible to put in the same combination. Ever again, it's going to happen. In the
Mm.
history of this body is not going to be replicated ever. You see? And yet, what happened today? Oh, we went to Satsang. There were 15 people in the room, 100 people on the Zoom. You see? That's it. Because these things can be put in narratives. You see? And if I wanted to put what is truly manifesting in my narrative, I couldn't do it because I started describing one of your body. Finish. No? I could spend my whole lifetime, I couldn't do it. You see? So our life is too broad. Every moment of our life is so broad. You see? But our need to storify seems to have taken over so much that we need to apply these limited primitive lenses to be able to make our story. And we seem to be able to tell a story from 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. But one moment we cannot define. So it's all absurdity. So in satsang, we use absurdity to cancel absurdity. That's why the pointing can sound absurd, because it's absurdity that we're holding on to. You cannot even describe one moment. How you come and tell me the story of your life? And it's not my, there's no trouble. You can tell me the story of your life, but it's troubling you. You're oppressing yourself. Consciousness is playing this game of self-oppression in some way, using these narratives. You see? And it is this made-up central protagonist called me, who seems to be the central element about everything. It could even now the mind could be saying, yeah, all this is good, but am I really getting this? What about me? Huh? Huh? See, if you if you go to a sugar shop, if you give the salesman money, he's going to give you sugar. He say, why can I not? Why do you have to keep giving me the sugar? Because you pay for it. That's the only way it is possible. You see, otherwise naturally it would be here. Of course, not so sweet as sugar. And then what happens is the mind presents you another idea saying, who, me? Little old me? I'm not doing any of that. When did I buy the sugar, Ananta? This is not true. This is the game of consciousness. Consciousness cannot be held hostage to the mind. What is the mind for consciousness? Popcorn. But only when you buy into the representation of little old me, then of course, all the troubles of the world can befall you. So consciousness speaking to consciousness is reminding consciousness that it is not hostage. All of it is your play. It is your own attention and belief, which create this pretense of identity. It is never really created anyway.
Are we so stupid? Every time you keep on reminding and then work, everything.
Yes, but the thing is that we were taught the false also with great intensity, and it is reinforced to us constantly in our what we call daily life, except when we come to satsang. You see? So I may remind you 1,000 times, but life has reminded you, or the play of this Leela has reminded you 10 million times of the false. But we should feel grateful that at least we found satsang. So at least get this alarm clock to ring.
Mm.
One said, the squirrel may think I'm a nut. If you take yourself to be, if we take ourselves to be human, you see, if we take ourselves to be human, then we must drop the arrogance of humanity saying that I can understand God. If we recognize that we are not separate from God, there is one being, one God, then there is nothing to understand. It is as simple as that. If you take yourself to be human, don't think that you can understand God. God is too big for you see, and that is surrender. You see? But if you recognize that you are the pure being itself, what is left to understand? In your being right now, what lack is there that we need to understand? What story is there that needs resolution? And if you're liking the human representation, then I'll tell you how not to suffer taking yourself to be a human. Don't try to understand life, God, truths, love. All of these things are too broad for a human to understand. I'm saying to all of you. But if you want to put on the mask of humanity on top of your godliness, your divinity, and then say, here with this mask on, I want to meet God, then that is not possible. See? But that is what every spiritual seeker wants. Seeker is what? The me wanting something, see? Wanting the meeting with God, but refusing to put down the mask. And that's why it seems so round and round and round. Because you're pointed to something, you have an insight about it. Insight is simple. Insight is simple. The pointers are potent enough that you will have an insight about it. But then the mask comes back on again because you want to own it and make something out of it. Use it as part of your narrative. You want your narrative to change to freedom and enlightenment. That cannot happen. You see? God is not so tiny that you will include him in your story. And he'll say, Yes, yes, I'm here. What you want to do? So either you let go of your narrative or let go of God. Both you cannot juggle. You will suffer more. Like, what is an expectation? I know what is better than God knows about what should happen to me. That's an expectation. Like the universal chef is going to mess up this pasta, to use an Italian reference. Unless I tell him or her how much salt to use and how much pasta sauce, how much tomatoes. What is the value to an expectation? I should have or I want is a
Yeah.
statement to whom? Is it? It's a it's just a way to resist what is.
Mm.
Is it? And it may float around as if it is a desire. I am powerful enough to want something. You see? But usually it is just a makeup for some fear. The fear of your nakedness, the fear of your openness, the fear of a meeting so empty of conceptual meaning making. But I promise you, there is nothing to fear. Even if fear comes, it is not to be feared. Don't fear the fear. It is just the bursting of the microwave popcorn. It means nothing to your reality. You're just getting cooked. And why I'm saying it's a disguise usually is because we are not so stupid. We are not so stupid. The minute we come to openness and emptiness, we say, I want, I want, I want. You see, it's just a defense mechanism. Because what we find there can seem too much for the mind to handle. Very, very. Thank you for presenting this because I felt like it would have answered many questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Don't be scared of anything at all. Mhm. The Guru's grace is with you. Nothing can shake you in reality. Very good. Very good. Okay, my dear, many hands up. So let's go to Keisha, then Melissa.
Hello.
Oh, my dear, I'm glad actually you came up because then I don't have to type a longer message. I can just share with you what I was trying to say. I was feeling to message you back, but this is better.
No, this is much better. And everything that you said to Shivoham, I feel like you were saying to me as well. And everybody, of course. So I thank Shivoham for coming forward. Thank you.
Very good.
Um, and I wrote some things down just because I
Okay,
don't know
okay.
why.
Yeah.
I don't usually, I mean, sometimes I write things down, but usually I don't. So everything is just a way to resist what is what you said, that really, like all our ideas and even my
Right.
story of believing in right and wrong,
Yeah.
good and bad, that story that I believe in, that story is a story.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
And but when I present myself to you, nothing feels true when I say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is the feeling of making a wrong choice
Yes.
and good and bad still. And I think it stems from the idea that sometimes I hear the guru say, you should do everything you can to be near the guru.
Yeah.
So the mind creates the scenario of, well, I have to put all of my life on hold and find a way to get near the guru physically. And if I don't, everything else is wrong. So don't do anything else. And it creates kind of this halt in my life. Or the belief that if you get into a relationship, then that will stall your awakening too. Don't get into a relationship, it's just a distraction. Or a new perfect job is presenting itself, that's just a way to distract you from awakening. So all of these beliefs,
Yeah.
because of what's been said, and I'm sure it's been twisted.
Yeah.
So that's where the fear comes from. If I do these things have presented themselves, if I do them, then I'm stopping my awakening.
Yes. This is very good. This is a very good starting point to this conversation, because already I'm sensing the openness to what I'm about to say. So, and what I'm about to say relies on something beautiful that Guruji said. He said, nothing in the world, nothing in life has inherent meaning. Is it? Nothing. With me, Ajay? Is it? So, so to be able to determine if there is nothing in life which has inherent meaning, you see, then to be able to determine the right from wrong, good from bad, what should I do and what should I not do, you see, must also be very moment to moment, you see, because sometimes to move next to the guru could make you very, very identified. And sometimes to move next to the guru could be the greatest grace that could happen to you. You see? Sometimes you might find freedom by looking into the eyes of the master. And sometimes you may find freedom by when you're milking a cow or something. So there's no real template that anybody can say. You see, because if there was a template like that, humans are at least that smart that they would have figured it out by now. Yeah, said, go for it. Everybody, herd mentality is there anyway, no? So everybody goes. But because nothing works universally in this form of strategizing or making tactics, is it? Now, because nothing works universally in a templatized way, is it? Then does that mean we are forever lost? It would sound like that, no? It would sound like that. That nothing is inherent meaning. So I can never know what to do. I can never know what is right. I can never know what is wrong. You see? Now, what I'm discarding in the notion is that there is a certain set of actions, you see, which can consistently create this kind of outcome. You see, so the notion of cause and effect, we have to discard. You see, and especially if this life is some sort of spiritual template to freedom, then I would not advise it to anyone. Because yesterday I was sharing about how much confusion, and how much spiritual jumping around, and how much all the wrong things that have been advised not to do or done from here. Like practically every kind of jumping of practices, following different things, trying to experiment with everything, you see, was here. And yet, you see, something worked in Guru's grace to show me that, show me what the longing is for. You see? So on the basis of this life, I can give you no template. You see, I can give you no template. I never really lived in an ashram. You see, but does that mean, can you take from there the meaning that no, but living in an ashram doesn't help? Of course, it helps. We have so many examples. You see, of it helping both traditionally as well as now in our lives we see. You see? So we cannot say anything that it should be like this or it should not be like this. The mind is always trying to create these molds and say this is correct, this is wrong, this is the way it should be, this is the way it should not be. Then what do we do? And and that is the answer I sent to you, and maybe something just felt like it's a cop out or something. I just ignoring the question, but but really that is the only way to get guidance. See? The only way to get guidance is to go to our intuition moment to moment. You see? Because even if I was to tell you go left, go left, go left, that might be for just now. And tomorrow you're meant to go right, go right, go right. You see? So it cannot apply. You see, it is important sometimes to do that dance of first going left and then right. So, and if I started writing guidance like that, then people, are you crazy? I am a bit, but that's not the point. So, so what do we do? You see? We have the source of this intelligence as our intuitive ability, our intuitive intelligence, always with us. You see, and we can rely on it. Not to give us a roadmap or a game plan, but to be able to point us to what is needed, if anything at all, in this moment. That is the only way we can live this life with openness and emptiness. You see? If we try to put our life in some sort of stereotypical mold, then it is only going to frustrate us, and it never has the intended outcome anyway. So, so that same place, provisionally, we are calling it a place where you know that you are aware, which is not conceptual, which is not perceptual. In that same place, which we can call the heart, you see, the guidance about what is needed, if anything at all is needed, is available to us. It doesn't have to be in words. You see, it sometimes just can move us. You see, or sometimes it can be in words, and sometimes it can be in so many other ways. You see, but this is the coming to satsang is the development of trust. You see, is the development of trust. You see? Where we move away from the roadmaps and the game plans and the molds of how reality is meant to function, because there is no such way in which reality functions. You see, into trust of our divinity, which is our own heart. You see, dropping into that trust and allowing our head not to know, and allowing our life to move from our heart. You see? Allowing our head not to know, and allowing our life to move from our heart, which it already is doing. But if you remain with that, then you will feel a sense of resonance with it instead of a sense of opposition to it. You see, if you go to your mind, it will constantly resist the movement which is happening from your heart anyway. You see, but if you just remain with your heart, then you will feel a sense of alignment with it, a resonance with it, a non-resistance, a non-suffering. And suffering is nothing but a resistance to what is. You see? So all of this I wanted to say,
Yes.
but it
Yes.
came out just like trust life moment to moment or something like
Yes. And the awareness, you just said awareness, you're already living from your heart.
yes, yes, of course.
I mean, it's so simple, but it's so freeing to hear that it's already so.
Of course, my dear. Nothing but consciousness has the projective ability to manifest life. Is it? Nothing but consciousness has it. It has to be all consciousness. And whether you call it consciousness or God or Guru or self, it doesn't matter. That's why we can say Guru Kripa Kevalam. The Master's grace is all there is, or only the Master's grace is.
Right. Yes.
Thank you for the openness to accept these kind of answers, because it is these kind of answers that I want to share with you. Not do this, don't do that. That is a bit primitive in terms of where we are now. With that, do this and do that, maybe just for this moment. Nothing can really be said about this in reality.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Melissa has had her hand up for a while. Hello.
Hi, Father.
Again.
I'm very grateful you're here. Just want to start with that.
Same, my child.
I'm feeling a lot, so maybe I need a couple of breaths.
Take as much time as you need.
Oh, it's so intense at the moment. Like, I mean, if you look at my life, I'm in a quite challenging situation on the manifestation of it. Everything's unsure. And I've always used my stories to stay in the suffering. And I've realized that so deeply this morning, like, to tell myself it's difficult and it's just, recreating suffering and suffering. I don't hear you anymore, by the way.
I'm just listening, my dear.
Oh, you don't say anything. Yet there's so much pain that I don't know how to open to it. Like, on the physical level, it's so painful. On the emotional level, there's so many emotions coming out. And I see my mind protecting it. Like, if I don't drop into it, there's this huge mind attack. So it's either mind attack or a lot of sensation if I drop into it. And I feel like, oh man, should I end my relationship? Should I change my job and this and that? And what I realized this morning is that I find it difficult to say, but I saw just this thought coming up that I hate my life and I just want it to stop. And it's so difficult to be with. Like, if it's that intense, I find it hard to stay aware of it. I mean, like, And there's this moments of great openness where she's like, oh, you know, just surrender. And then I feel this huge like opening, and and then this intense contraction. And what am I actually trying to avoid is like this fear of this deep void, which I think it's not even actually there, but it feels like it's there. It's so empty. I'm sitting in the house every day and I don't know what to do with my day. And
yes.
I just don't know.
So, firstly, I want to say to you that I'm fully with you, and you're always in my heart, and this will pass. This will pass. Now, if you like, we can sit here together, and if you feel like there's any running from something or avoidance of something like this, like an idea of a conceptual void of some sort, is it? If you want to face it together with me, why don't you just see what it's about?
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Because what can also happen sometimes is the same conceptual emptiness that I'm talking about, which makes yourself very apparent to you. You see, for the mind, it can seem like a very scary idea sometimes. So I want to see what the avoidance is. Is it avoiding a pure meeting with your own self, or is it avoiding some conditioned fear from somewhere? And I'm happy to do this exploration with you, so that and there are many in Sangha also who go through these kind of things. So it may be a useful exercise for everyone.
Yeah, I think it can be
But
very helpful.
just to defang or take out the poison from this fear in a way, you see, is maybe will be helpful. Because you're in a supportive space, right? This could be an opportunity to just look. So, is there like a fear that if I let go, I'll be sucked into this deep, dark void or something like that? Or what is it?
That I'm gonna die. Like it feels so intense in my body.
Yes.
And there's so much like energetical shifts or like emotions coming out that
What is it?
there is this belief I can't.
Yes.
I think.
So what I was saying is that is the feeling conditioned on some idea that if I'm not in control, or if I do something, then I may die? Is it like that, or just like I'm going to die?
I have a feeling it has to do with control.
Achha. Yes. That is not unfamiliar to me. That report is not unfamiliar to me. And this is like, sometimes I call it like a primal fear, because the invitation in satsang is to let go. But the mind presents this alternative idea saying that if you let go, then you will die. You cannot live. You see?
Yeah.
And it comes because when we did not want to learn everything conceptually, we were told by everyone around us that you need this stuff to live. You see?
Yeah.
Now, as you're being asked to let go of all of this stuff, then that idea that I need this stuff to live, I'm going to die without it, can play out. So just we sit together and just remain as open and as empty as possible. And if there's something strong coming up, or even if you feel like it's not very strong, you can just say it out loud and we can look at it together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right now, there's like a lot of sensations in my heart area, like this.
Are they by themselves either painful or pleasurable in themselves?
right now, none of them, like neither, like it's just there.
It is just sensations being perceived.
Yeah.
So that cannot hurt you.
I right away see the thought coming up, but if it's intenser, it is very unpleasant.
Yeah. So because you're here in the safe space, invite
Yeah.
it to get intenser.
Mm.
And then tell me if inherently it changes its complexion to being either painful or pleasurable in its own, on its own.
Yeah. It becomes less intense.
That is the beauty of this. But we don't have to make that into an expectation. But it is
Yeah.
very usual that when we become more open to something, it seems to drop in its intensity.
Yeah. I feel no resistance now.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can expose something like there's this huge resistance to this, well, I call it like this giant attacks of whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to drop it. And maybe I even have to drop it. I have to know how to drop it, but I'm just clueless.
Yeah. So invite your mind to attack you now. Let's see how big it can get.
Oh, it's ridiculous. This mind.
Can it become bigger than my being? Let's see. Let's see if it can do that. What is the scariest thing it can show us? What is the biggest thought it can throw at us? Let's see how big it is.
I can't do this life. I can't do it.
Huh? Huh?
Oh, that's the scariest thought, I think.
The scariest thought is that you can't do this life, you can't run this life.
Yeah, like I'm not able to be on this earth, and I right away feel my heart like kind of contracting.
So good. Invite these kind of thoughts. You see, invite these kind of thoughts. Don't run from them. I'm with you, my dear. Don't worry. We're all with you. All of us have full blessings for you in our heart right now. Nothing will happen. Now, this you that can't run life, you see, has never existed. Has never existed. Life cannot be run by some idea of me. Life,
Yeah.
you see, and it is running it beautifully. It is just running it as it is meant to be. But only life runs life. Consciousness is life itself. You see? So, of course, if we have a representation of me, which takes on the mantle of running life, of course it can't do it. And of course it's going to seem burdensome and too big. You see, but this
Yeah.
representation of me is not true.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the body running life? Who are we talking about? How can the body run life? The body runs on life itself. How can the body run life? It is the life force which energizes the body and keeps it alive. So obviously the body, which is a product of that life force, cannot run this life. Then who must this me be that has to run this life?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
There is no such entity. Is it? It is just a figment of our mind. It is just an idea that that the mind creates to oppress consciousness in this game of consciousness.
And I have a feeling that letting go of that belief is bringing up a lot of fear, like
Yeah.
intensively.
Yeah. So now what
Because
we have to,
yeah, sorry.
we can do this together. Invite the biggest fear that you can experience. Let's see how big it can be. Can it contain the entirety of you?
It drops in intensity again.
See?
It really makes me laugh.
Exactly, Adi, exactly. You see? So
Oh,
the mind
another
is,
thought, like why is the, oh,
why is what?
why I'm trying to understand why is there so much tears coming out? Why is there so much fear? That's another thing that wants to understand it.
Let's find something that we have understood so far. And I'm including myself in this question.
Hmm.
Okay. I can't find anything that I've understood why. Can you?
Sorry, what did you say?
I said that I cannot find here anything that I've truly understood the cause or the why of.
Um,
You see? I'm wondering whether you can find something that you know the why of.
I don't think so.
Nothing. No? So let's not presume we can start now. It has not happened so far. Let's not trouble
Okay.
ourselves more with this why question. You see?
Yeah.
The who question is actually much better. You heard me talk about this before? Where just both are three-letter words. You see? Why and who. And yet the attraction in the mind is to ask why. And the minute you invite the mind to ask who, it says, no, 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 I don't feel like I'm so much into inquiry. This kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
both are three-letter words. No? There's one alphabet difference actually. Replace the Y of the Y with the O.
Yeah.
And that is much more helpful.
I want to ask something, but I don't know where it's coming from.
It's okay, ask.
So while this is so intense, these things coming out,
Yeah,
I am wondering,
yeah.
what do I need in order to support like this the best way possible? Because I feel, I don't know if it's true, maybe it's mine. There's a lot of instability around me,
Yes.
and I'm really trying to feel into it from my heart, like, what do I need in order to support that? Because I don't want to create more suffering than necessary.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes. So let's see if we can look at this. And it is a sort of continuation from what I was telling Keisha earlier.
yeah,
That answer can change from moment to moment.
yeah, it
For
does.
example, your heart could tell you in this moment, you need to end this relationship. You see, it could say you need to end this relationship. And then what will happen is you take some steps towards ending the relationship, and some things could change in the relationship. This is not the advice, okay? So I'm
No,
just
I
saying
know.
for example, that it could say that, and you follow that advice, and you're taking some steps to end the relationship, and you will find that maybe some circumstances change, and now your heart tells you now you can stay. You see, or the other way around. So it's very moment to moment. So it's
Yeah,
impossible to be able to define life in this way where we can say this is what we need to do,
true.
because that can only cause more frustration and confusion.
Mm,
And so my whole thing in satsang is to introduce you to the knowing of the heart, where not only do you recognize your reality as pure awareness itself, but also whatever guidance is needed in that life is available to you. You see?
yeah,
But it can never be in the form of categorical statements saying this is what is good for you or this is what is bad for you. And most in the world are not ready to hear that yet. But I feel all of you coming to this kind of satsang, there is already some openness to deal with this kind of pointing, where we must drop our ideas of categorically this is good and this is bad, this is what I need and this is what I don't need, and we learn to become a little more open to what life is showing us every moment in our life.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Exactly what you're describing now happened over 48 hours. And I saw myself going from this openness, like, okay, in this moment, this is what my heart tells me, and I just see what the next second will bring me. And then another hour later, it was like, okay, so the coming 2 weeks, I'm back in that contraction. So I really see those jumps. Yeah.
For a while, it will seem jumpy like that. For a while, it can seem jumpy like that, till you just settle in your heart. Till you just settle in your heart. Even then, it is not 100%.
No.
Because even in the life of a so-called sage, there will be moments where some identification or some idea will be picked up momentarily.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All my love. Okay, I saw a hand up. No hand up here. Many hands up on the Zoom, of course. I see Sida, and then I see Om Shiva, and then Adrian, Elena, and hello.
Hello.
Very good, Adrian. What is the current representation of life?
Grace is working.
That one we can keep, maybe. Is that the only one?
I myself also don't know, but I very much would love to talk with you.
Yeah.
To satsang, so much crying almost during the satsang, just so much crying happens, and it's again related with myself, like kind of hate. And it's not totally true actually, but some aspects is like this. And
so you were saying that, if I heard you correctly, that there has been crying coming, but along with the crying, there are some conceptual messages of hating yourself, which you have found familiar in your life in the past as well.
May you please repeat further?
Yes, my dear. So what I'm asking is that you said, if I heard you correctly, that there has been crying coming throughout satsang, but along with the crying, there have been some conceptual messages of self-hate, which you have experienced for yourself in the past as well.
In the past as well. I couldn't figure out this sentence, but...
Is this new to you? This
no, it's not new. It's just burping.
Yes.
That's why I said also it's not totally true, because it's not my complete experience about myself, but so much like, yeah, old stuff is coming, and yeah, and now, it's not that.
So let me invite you to make a more complete representation?
Father, I also don't know. Like, I exposed it last time, but it doesn't give the true representation, you know. It's just like this feeling itself, and I was carrying this just. Uh, sorry, my English cannot help me sometimes, not so good. It's just that this feeling was just with me, you know, and I always see myself also in the screen. It's just not just feeling about myself. It's like how I'm approached, how play also going outside. And it's not just like, at the same time, I feel so weak, you know, not just that my stuff playing outside. At the same time, I feel so weak too when something comes outside which is not related with me at all, maybe, but it's like there is no kind of, I always feel like I have no protection. And it was my experience actually, like from childhood, no protection at all, not from my side or from outside. And yeah.
Yes.
Like, yes.
Yes. So,
I don't even like to expose it, you know.
Yeah. Now, can you tell me, just in the purity of the experience itself, you see, not with so much deciphering, not with so much translation, what is it that you're experiencing in this very moment? Can you explain to me as completely as possible?
Okay. I feel like my feeling actually, because okay, I feel like people are posing like this to me, you know, like I'm there, but people are like this. I don't know if I could.
Away? Is it like a turning away?
Yeah, not, yeah, like I'm nothing. I'm just so small, like.
I see, I see, I see, I see. But okay, this is good. But can we meet it even one level deeper, where you tell me what the experience of it is like, not the explanation of it is like? You see what I'm saying? So not the interpretation of what you're feeling, but what is the experience of the feeling itself?
I'm doing this. I feel like I'm doing this.
What is the experience that you're having right now?
Right now.
Yes. Like, is there a set of sensations in your heart region? Is there something pulsating in your head region? What is the actual experience in the manifest?
Not in the body, but
Yeah.
yes, it's like I feel just so distant from you, because you are also, I see you as a human being too, and I see myself with you, and because there is not liking kind of sense, I feel so much distance, and I don't like you either. And it's not about you, but I don't like you. It's like, yeah, it's like this. I don't like you.
Yeah. So, in spite of that, in spite of that, let me see if we can go in the direction that I'm saying. So one way to say this is to say this is a cup. It looks a bit traditional. It may be Middle Eastern or traditional Indian in design. You see, that is one way that we have a sense of being able to know what it is and to convey it in broad terms. You see, The other way to look at it is to see, there's a play of color, there seems to be some brown and then some lighter brown, and there seem to be some white color, and there seem to be some lines. So then that deconstructs our interpretation of what this is and breaks it down more in terms of a description and not an explanation. You see? Now, what happens is that many times in our representations of what is appearing, we find that the representations are very different from what the actual experience is. So that is why I'm asking, what is the actual experience or the color of the experience in a way? Not what it means.
I don't know, like feeling.
Yes, yes. Like what feeling?
Oh, okay.
Is it
Yeah,
like a
I'm
comfort?
happy about this. Yeah, yeah. Because this feeling was with me all night, and yes, I remember this feeling. It's like um it's like complete something is dead. Like no, I will
Don't interpret it as much as possible. Just
okay.
describe it. Just describe it like the cup. You see the color, the shape, not the what it means.
Okay. It's like Father, something within is just so alive, but
Yeah.
it cannot um it cannot go out. It's like it cannot flow.
Still so
Still no?
aliveness is there. You see what is stopping it?
A lot of condition, not even conditioning. I don't know. It
Just
was
see,
like this.
just look at it fresh and tell me from there.
Tiredness, heaviness, incredible
What
heaviness.
what is it, a type of contraction? What do we mean by tiredness? Is it a type of energy? Where is it being experienced? Is it a sort of like this? And where is it in our being? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Where is it? What is it?
Especially in the head, but whole
Yes.
body.
Okay. And what is the experience? What is it? Is it like a pulsation? Is it like a deadness? Is it like a
No,
aliveness?
just so much heaviness.
Heaviness. You see?
Yeah.
Now there's heaviness in your head and rest of your body. You see? Now, what else? What else is there beside the heaviness?
It's also have some psychological stuff.
Yes. So for that psychological stuff, we're keeping aside for a moment because that
Okay.
has the interpretation. What else is actually there in the experience?
Hmm. Heartbreak.
Heartbreak is what? What is the, that sounds like interpretation. What is the sensation?
Not even heartbreak. I don't know. Not also sadness too, but this heaviness is like, I don't know.
I don't know is very good. I don't know is very good. What else besides that? Do you have a sense of your being? Do you have a sense that you are aware of all of this? Or is your entirety contained in this heaviness now?
It's like I don't have an energy to um check for this. Like
Yes, but this takes less energy then interpreting. You
Okay.
see, the checking takes less energy actually, although it is less enjoyable to the mind, you see, but to make a conclusion actually takes much more energy and tires us even more.
Yes, this heaviness is there, like a bulk.
Yeah. And in your being, is there anything else except the heaviness?
Yes,
What else is there?
the seeing of this heaviness.
Yes. And what else is there?
Lightness.
And what else is there?
Kind of detached emptiness, space.
Okay. All of these perceptions are where this voice, this computer or phone or whatever it may be, where is it?
In the light, in the
Is it outside?
consciousness.
I thought it's still inside your being.
Yes, but in consciousness.
Same. Being and consciousness, I at least use it synonymously. There is no difference between consciousness and beingness. It is one consciousness, one being. You see? Now, what makes a certain set of sensations more meaningful than another?
Mm.
Are some
Being
things
mine.
yes. But independent of the mind is something
No,
inherently
not mind, mine.
yes, but the notion of mind also comes from the mind only.
Okay.
Is something inherently more yours than something else?
Inherent.
Among so among all the perceptions, are the perceptions themselves saying I am more you and I am less you?
They don't,
Yes. So what
but
distinguishes mine and not mine?
familiarity.
Familiarity comes from where?
Automatically.
It comes from memory, no? So suppose this was the first moment of your dream, and yet you would say, oh, this is my house, I'm familiar with it. So memory can present us this kind of notion of familiarity. But even if there's a familiarity of perception, does it automatically make it mine?
Sorry, my head goes anywhere else. I couldn't hear you.
Even if there's a perceptual familiarity, you see, where something seems to be recognized, does it automatically make it mine?
No,
Then what does?
nothing.
Then there is no mine. Is it like that?
Yes.
Then what makes heaviness more important than lightness or the rest of the perception?
Story.
Story comes from
It just appears.
uh, that which we call the mind is the story. But without the messages from the story, what is it inherently, or what is it naturally, organically?
Without?
Without the messages from the story, what is
Mhm.
anything?
What is anything means?
Anything that you perceive without the story, what is it? Either we can say everything or we can say nothing, but we cannot make distinguishing features like mine, yours,
Mm.
I want, I don't want. All that comes from the story.
Yes. Like, I don't know,
So
it's
we can add our conceptual meaning to the story, but we can never add what is to the story. This is the best pointer for today. You can only add a conceptual meaning to your narrative, to your story. You can never add what actually is to your story.
one more time.
Yes, my dear. So you can only add a conceptual meaning that you think up. Only that can be inserted into your story. What actually is, you see, can never be added into your story.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of this life. It is too broad unless we are addicted to making it our story. Enjoy life without the need to have a story. And then the distinguishing between me, mine, heavy, light, up, down, left, right, all that will vanish.
But Father, it's not something that I do. It's just like happens so automatically.
Yes, but I'm speaking to you as consciousness. Who are
Hmm.
you speaking of yourself as? I'm speaking to you as the only God there is. Who are you speaking of yourself as? Can there be other than God? Anyone other than God has existed? When we say I cannot do, we are buying into the representation of ourselves as a limited entity. And then if we buy into that representation as a limited entity, then better to leave everything to God and not bother with it. You see? Either meet yourself as God and everything is happening in your life, or if you feel like you are a human under the care of God, then let everything be God's problem. You see? You cannot do both.
Second feel more close.
That's fine. That's the path of surrender.
Because I love this sense too. Like I'm embraced, I'm protected,
Yes,
like
yes,
I'm the child in Eden of God.
yes. But then don't doubt that. You
But I feel like I'm doing everything just on my own, and
Then you're not the child protected by God. That
again
is, if you believe that, then the second representation is not true, isn't it? That you are a child taken care of by God.
I prefer it.
So pick that and then don't doubt it. And doubt starts with but. Doubt starts with but. But is the knocking of the doubt on your door. Will you let it in?
But Father,
Yeah, exactly.
like, okay, yeah, whatever I was going to say would come from here. So,
But father is to throw father out and but in.
and it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah, it became so obvious.
Very good,
Mm.
very.
Father,
Okay.
may I admit something?
Yes, yes.
Actually, my name doesn't being called as Seda.
Ah,
It's called as Jada. But
Veda. I see, I see.
yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. When you first called me, it was just so beautiful, and I was like dumb, and I didn't want to even correct it, and
Ah.
I like it so much actually because
What do
I
what do you prefer?
huh?
Jada is good.
No, I don't like it. Seda is good.
Sita is better. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I
What,
like it.
whatever you feel. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Is it like in Turkish? It is spelled like this?
Yeah, Jada.
Yes. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
Okay. Om Shiva. Namaste.
Namaskar, Father.
My dear. You're
Thank
looking
you
better
so
and
much,
better every
Father.
day.
You're all great.
You're looking good.
All your grace, all your grace, Father. All your, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Father, I have some question. Like sometimes something has happened with me. I need to that moment like compulsory to forget and ignorance. If I do that,
It happens with you, and
then
then what? Can you repeat the
uh,
last part?
yes, sir. Something has happened with me. I compulsively need to the forget that moment and ignorance properly. If I don't do that, then I become angry and
Yes.
something is like become me a stupid mind, like
Yes.
not
Yes.
empathy mind awareness. So I need is all your graces to every time I realize these things because before I did not realize, but now I realize after your graces. So please give me some guidance. What how do I fight this thought?
It's fine. I don't see trouble because what it sounded like, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding, is that sometimes some negativity comes in your head, and if you don't forget about it, it feels like it can just grow and it becomes worse and worse. You see? So that is fine. Let it come and go. That is the best thing actually.
And automatically in my soul, you have every time guide me, and I understand, realize you said me. You can change only yourself. You cannot change to anyone in this world.
Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. That's a
Thank
very
you so
mature
much.
realization. Once you start living life this way, that the only thing to change is here, is it? Not here, then that is where true maturity starts to bloom. And otherwise, the mind's propensity to blame outside, you see, is infinite. You can blame everything on the outside, you see, and no progress really happens within. No openness really comes within, because the mind will always find something to blame outside.
गुरु जी आपकी कृपा चाहिए बस आप सदैव अपना दया दृष्टि मुझ पर रखिए
Yes.
और I was seeing some dream at night time, not yesterday, before few days ago. I was going to Bangalore and being satsang with you, and I feel so nice, happy. So today I was wrote some 3 lines for you. Can I?
Oh, yes. I'd love to hear. Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. Hmm, अनंता जी मुझको दे दो मुझी बाबा से जो लाए हो अपना दिल भी है वही जहाँ की खुशबू तुम लाए हो अच्छा किया जो भी किया दिल ने दिल से है कह दिया सदियों में क्यों लम्हों में जी फिर जाए मिले ना ये जिंदगी अनंता जी जादू कर दो हम तुम्हारे हो जाएंगे एक बार मौका मुझको दे दो ये फासले भी गुल जाएंगे अच्छा किया जो भी किया दिल ने दिल से है कह दिया सदियों में क्यों लम्हों में जी फिर जाए मिलेना ये जिंदगी शिवा प्रेम don't take any tension just follow the satsang ji अच्छा किया जो भी किया दिल ने दिल से है कह दिया सदियों में क्यों लम्हों में जी फिर जाए मिले ना ये जिंदगी जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव
Very good. With so much innocence and trust, you sung this thing. It really touched my heart. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
It's not my heart actually. When I meditate mind thoughts and I just want to sing this song for you. Last time also hardly some after this accident I so much feel your graces Anantaji. Before I am also listening your satsang every time, but not this consciousness.
Yes.
I'm being honestly telling you, not this consciousness. But after this accident, your graces, I feel like you have saved me like this. You blessed me and I am saved. Otherwise, I don't know what happened with. Thank you so much, गुरुदेव. आप अपनी हमेशा हमेशा मुझ पे ऐसी दया दृष्टि रखना कि ये जीवन निकल जाए. आपकी आशीर्वाद. धन्यवाद.
Always here. Always.
Thank you.
I like that. Sadiyon mein kyun, lamhon mein jiyo. It means why are you living in centuries? Live in moments. Okay, we have Stephanie. Stephanie, my dear, you can come.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, my dear.
Maybe my birds start singing, but right now they are quiet. I had to
Maybe.
raise
Can you repeat?
my birds. Huh? Can you
Can
hear
you
me?
repeat the first part, my dear? Maybe what?
Oh, it's not loud enough?
It wasn't very clear. No.
I thought my birds were very much singing, but
Acha.
now they stopped, and
I see.
it's better without, maybe.
It's fine. I can hear you
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Okay. And I raised my hand because there was fear to raise my hand. And I
Yes.
thought, so I have to challenge and look what is there. And now there's no fear.
Yes.
And but there was this voice which said, I feel so much blessed by God in my life. There's
Yes.
no pressure and so many gifts. And I can really relax into life, into being. And then comes the voice,
Yes.
you are arrogant. Don't
Oh.
speak about it. Look how others are, and always try to compare. Others are more silent and things like this. And I just needed to expose this
Thank you.
because it's harassing me. To raise
Yes.
my hand, there comes fear, you are fake. But actually, I'm so happy.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for
And
sharing. And whatever is coming from your openness, whatever is coming from your emptiness, is always from God. Always from God. And the mind will always oppose this kind of naturalness. So just let go of the mind, let it come and go. Don't buy into its representations that you're fake or any of that. No?
yeah,
Because it
just
is,
speak from past because right now it's not there. I'm just so happy.
yeah.
And you're just such an open door to God's grace, and you are God's grace for me so much and so easy just to just bathe in you. And then another mind attack says, yeah, you should express it more. So therefore I had to step forward.
Very well spotted. So either position is mental, no, is from the mind. So you just remain in your naturalness. It's all good.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm very grateful for this Sangha, that everything which is said and put out from other beings is just my own voice. I feel it, such love, and it's always come back to just be, and there's nothing to repair or nothing to improve.
Yes.
You give these father arms, this mother arms, and it stays here. It's not leaving. It's just what is. Yeah, and I thought that don't have words. Others can explain more, but now this dropped too during this listening, and so much joy. Thank you.
So welcome. So welcome. I enjoyed hearing you.
Thank you so much.
And the birds too. And the birds. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. I see Madalena, Helena, and Leela. And then Edgard as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that Anna is happy and she seems to be blossoming. And yeah, it's good. And we have some therapy for her and some good prospects in terms of support. So much gratitude from here. Thank you.
Very happy. Very happy. Bless you all. Bless you all. All love.
Thank
All bless. Very
you.
good. Thank you. Okay. Alina can come.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. A lot of things that has been said before, and subjects that are brought up by other before me are what I was what my question was concerned about too.
Yeah.
But I thought I just wanted to come up anyway. Because what I experience in life, you said last satsang, I think you said about living like a child.
Yeah.
Innocence of a child, and well, that really appealed to me, because I feel not only a longing for that, but also that I would be quite able to live like that. But there is but
Sure. Good.
But although I feel that I wanted to do things that come from the heart, I find myself doing things that I don't like, and I just can't stop it. It's like when I would wake up in the morning and I have this idea, okay, today I'm going to do this or that, usually something creative, and then I end up at the end of the day and I see that I haven't done anything about that.
I see.
But
I see.
I only find time to listen to satsangs, but during the day, it's like daily life, and it's I have this, it's like a kind of mental habit of making lists of what I should do or should be doing, and usually those are tasks that are not giving any joy. So we talk about usually about habitual thinking, but this is kind of habitual behaving that I just don't seem able to say, okay, no more, I choose this. And also if I do something something creative, there's also always this mind sneaking in that is saying, well, it's nice that you do something creative, but it makes conditions of like, it should be become this or it should become that. I think I'm clear.
Thank you.
So how to break that?
We may have spoken about this before, but I just want to remind myself, did you feel like the inquiry is helping you at all?
Yes, it does. And also I listen satsangs, and recently there was in the retreat, Muji's retreat, it's his most recent retreat, there is this few minutes of a video in which he helped someone seeing that that there is not even a me, but there's only awareness that is observing. No, that there's only observing happening in awareness, and it appeals me. I want to. I see that. I want to see that over and over again, because I feel it's getting somewhere that I.
That's very beautiful. Very good.
Yes.
So once you see that there is no me, you see, and you follow the inquiry and you find that there is no me.
Yes.
So what we should then do is, your previous report, can you put it up without the notion of a me? And if you want to replace it, you can say God instead of me. What would it sound like? God wakes up in the morning. And
I already thought it would be something sounding ridiculous.
No, it's sweet, no? It's sweet. It's
Okay.
what wakes up actually. The sense I am is consciousness or God itself. You see?
Yes.
If there is no me, then what else is there? You see? So okay, let me make it simpler for you.
Yeah. No.
What I'm yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
If there is no me, I could. Well, I don't know how, if you can say I saw or I experienced or I sensed or whatever, but there is some.
Yeah.
Well, awareness is what there is.
Exactly. So perception, being, you see, the play of light, sound, all of this is apparent within our being, and awareness, which is your true nature, your true self, is just aware of this aspect of your own self, which I call the manifest aspect of yourself. You
Yes.
see? Now, from that standpoint, you see, now actually it is not very different from the advice last time, because a child, in the innocence of a child, is not taking itself to be a me, is not taking itself to be something that has to do something or doesn't have to do something. It is just very light and easy and moment to moment.
Yeah, I experienced that too. That only the mind um, is bringing in past and future, and it's not in the now.
Yes. So, so the trouble is never with any action in itself.
Sorry.
The trouble is never with any action in itself.
No. Mm-hmm.
So whether painting happens, doesn't happen, it's all good. It's all fine. This whole life is God's painting. No? So whether a painting is there within the painting or it is not there within the painting, it's all fine. You see? But the judgment that we make about ourselves within the uh, within the play of consciousness, that can make the play seem either oppressive and troublesome, or it can just, if you don't make any judgment, then it's just open and empty and innocent like a child.
Oh, I try to follow what you say, but I'm just blanking out. Could you please say it
I say
again?
that only because we make judgments about ourselves, you see, does the openness and emptiness seem to go away, and we get into the mode of desirer or doer or separate from everything else. Without
Yes.
this kind of interpretive judgment, you see, everything is fine. Whether painting happens, doesn't happen, we can enjoy God's painting, irrespective of whether there is more painting within the painting or not so much painting.
Yes.
You see?
But what about this kind of what about this? I don't know if it's a popular saying or something. The statement that you should follow your heart.
Yes,
Where
yes.
does
But
that?
we can only follow our heart when our head is open and empty.
Yes.
We cannot follow our heart with our head, you see.
No.
How to follow the heart is only for the head to be open and empty is how you follow the heart. There's no other way to go to the heart, you see, and say, please, I want to follow you. It is when we stop following the false guide, you see, the truth is automatically followed. That is the beauty of the truth. So all that is needed is the false to be discarded, not the truth to be constructed.
Yes, I can follow that.
Yeah. So it's simple like that. You see, so in the same way, like what is the innocence of a child? A child is not relying on conceptual knowledge, on narratives, on these molds of the mind saying life should be like this, it should not be like that. Just in that openness and emptiness. Yet there is a beautiful intelligence that is running even the life of a child, isn't it? That is following the heart. And it
Okay.
is the same intelligence which makes a tree grow, makes the flowers bloom, makes the sun and the moon function the way they function, makes your heart beat. All of this is being done by that same intelligence already. You see? So we are not being asked to surrender something big. You see, 99.99999% of it is being done already. Your breath is happening, your blood is flowing, your heart is beating, all the functioning of the universe is happening with light, sound, gravity, electricity, all of these things is happening. What are we being asked to surrender? Only one tiny aspect of this existence, which is what our thoughts are saying. You see? So surrender is just surrendering the tiny 0.0000001%. If the rest of the 99.999% stop working, then there will be no chance of anything else anyway. If the supreme intelligence, the divinity stop functioning, then all this, you see, mental idea would be completely pointless anyway.
I find
So
it really hard to hear
yes,
what
so,
you say, and I
so
see that
I'm,
I'm trying to figure things out mentally.
don't worry, my dear. So that's why we have recording and transcript. So you can always revisit the conversation. What I'm saying is that if the waking state did not show up, you see, which happens on its own in consciousness by by the will of the Supreme, you see, then what to do in the waking state would be pointless. No?
Mhm.
So who does the appearance of the waking state?
I don't know.
You see, the same consciousness, God, Supreme. So the same one that gives us the state can also run the state. We don't have to feel like we're so, powerful that we have to control this state or something. That is the same innocence of a child.
Well, I hear what you say, but this thing comes back. I mean,
Yes,
keeps saying, but
just
there is
because something comes back, does it make it true?
no, not necessarily.
Okay. So what is the way in which we can validate the truthiness of it without just the notion of it being repetitive? If
Mm,
by something being repetitive made it true, then
mm,
then we would have no chance.
mhm,
So the Vedantins, for example, in the Vedanta, they gave us a definition of what is true. They said that which comes and goes is not true.
mhm.
So we can apply that, you see, or whatever standard we want to apply, we must be clear about what is the standard of truth. But it definitely cannot be that something comes back is the standard of truth.
No.
Is it?
Yes.
Just in the appearance of a notion doesn't automatically make it true, even if the notion is repeated 100 times. Just because a lie is repeated 100 times doesn't make it true.
No. Well, it's this idea that what previous beings also said is what the question of what to do with your life, and I probably might have fixed some idea about that. Only when I do something that is joyful, then that is what to do in life.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You see, usually, the notion of doership in the human condition takes the joy out of everything anyway.
Yes. You said something in last satsang about the doership, that we only do that because to complete ourselves, because we took this idea of being limited, and somewhere in your being, it's not right.
Yeah.
I found it very clarifying to these 3 Ds.
The duality of separation imposes a belief that I am separate. But in my heart, there is a yearning for myself, my whole self. But the mind offers a proposition of desire, the second D, you see, to complete myself. And then when this proposition is accepted, that I want this so that I can feel more complete, then it presents the proposition that now you must do this or not do this so that you can achieve that desire of completion. So the 3 Ds are very interrelated in this way.
Yes, I have not seen it before like that. So that was really clarifying to hear. Yes. Okay, I will keep on investigating. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. I feel like we have the last few now. Leela and Edgar.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm on the same subject again. I'm just hoping that I can briefly.
Yes.
It's the health of this body, and there's a feeling that it's going to go soon. My father died quite a few years younger than I am, and I feel like I'm having a lot of things that happened with him before he passed away, and no one knew. He kept going to doctors, and they said you're fine, and then his heart stopped. And I'm having some heart things, and I don't have, doctors don't have time to see me that long and convince me, and follow-up tests may take several months, and there's such a feeling that I need to do something, I need to push, I need to get them to believe me, which just makes them think I'm crazy and anxious and nutcase. So what I would like to be able to just surrender that if this body is meant to go, that's what's meant to happen. Like Muji always says, sometimes no one dies before it's time. Whatever time it is, it's the perfect time. And I would like to trust that. I guess I don't trust. And I've been looking for little things on my body that I'm sure are a sign. And there are things that are different that have come up in the last couple of months that I don't feel are normal, but I want to feel like it's okay. And if this is the plan, this is as it is. And there's also the fear that, because I haven't died yet before I die. And I don't know that will happen, but I want to feel, I guess, that this is the plan. This is consciousness. It's still part of consciousness's plan. Even if this one doesn't wake up, someone else will somehow wake up. So consciousness is going to be raised somehow by the whole thing. I don't know. I just want to be able to relax, and there is such a feeling of doership about I have to do this. I have to wake up, but the surrender that it's not up to me, and just I'm just asking, I guess, for blessing that I can see that hopefully now, right in this moment. So yeah.
So sweet. I always find your report very innocent and very sweet.
It's so desperate. There's such a sense of desperation.
It's very, very honest, actually. I enjoy that very much. There's no spiritual pretense, which I enjoy. I
Yeah.
enjoy meeting in that way. So
Yeah.
that's very nice. So you said a lot of beautiful things actually.
Yeah.
That although there can be a fear about the passing of the body, and you also identified how you could have a particular condition because of your father and his body passing away before the age of this body. So you also identified what led to this kind of conditioning being formed. You see,
Mm.
so you're able to look at it fairly objectively, even though you may not admit that. You
Mm.
see, I can see a lot of objectivity there, and and the thing is that you surrender does not mean that you take a position either way. You see, surrender means we are open and empty. And in that openness and emptiness, sometimes you find yourself calling a doctor and saying, "Hey, doctor, there's something definitely wrong with me, man. You better look at this body," you know?
And
Or,
then they just say, okay, but well, we can't talk to you now. Bye.
yeah, that's fine.
And
But
that's
that's also,
okay.
yeah, of course,
I just
because
think now
in
they'll
surrender,
never treat me. Yeah.
there's just no real self-image to worry about so much.
Oh.
So it doesn't feel like you're insulted or put down or something like that. So
Hmm.
it's a allowing of just, you see, allowing it to not call or to call without really relying on some sort of conceptual knowing that I
Oh.
do something is wrong and I don't know something is wrong. You see, sometimes you can feel like if I just trusted, then I would never call the hospital. But that's not true. You see, within trust, you can call the hospital also.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is not the activity of the body that determines our trust. It is our inner openness. You see? So as long as we are open and empty inwardly, provisionally, I'm saying inwardly, whatever can happen through the body is just fine.
Hmm. Okay. I feel that there definitely I've gone through 2 doctors that don't want to take my calls anymore. It's
That's
like,
okay.
sorry?
Make send you many doctors, that's fine. To use all.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm not saying, by the way, that you must keep calling your doctors. I'm just
Okay,
saying
because that's how a little bit how I'm interpreting it. Like, I better
I,
call him
I
again
just,
because
I just
I want to be able to relax and a little
yes,
bit
I'm
because
saying that
just so on it, not able
yes.
to sleep. I've been sleeping only a few hours a night and it's just miserable. I don't want to be miserable. I know. Trying to open to the misery, but not doing well. Yeah.
So, so in your openness and emptiness, you see, which means just allowing your thoughts as much as possible and is natural, allowing your thoughts to come and go, like the old Zen saying. You see, keep your front door and back door open. Thoughts are visitors, let them come and go. Don't serve them tea. You
Yeah.
see,
I'm serving them a lot of tea.
yeah. So don't serve them.
And I have so much identity. It's so there. I feel like there's no spiritual pretense because I feel like I'm just so in the bottom of, like I feel so I instantly identified with the thoughts and
It's sometimes easier to just become free without picking up a lot of the spiritual pretense.
yeah.
Because the spiritual pretense takes a lot of chopping away. If there's anything that tires me in satsang is the meeting of the spiritual pretender. You see, which is which is more tiring than meeting somebody who's so innocent and open. But so that is I enjoy that much. I enjoy this much more than that.
Oh, that's
So
good.
what I'm saying is that from our openness and emptiness, and all that is needed is in our heart to keep that intention to be open and empty. You see? And we are not to judge ourselves on how much that's actually happening or not happening, or whether we are worthy of it or not, or whether we're doing well at it or not. Just our intention in our heart is to remain open and empty. The rest is all left to grace. You see? That's it. And from within that openness and emptiness, sometimes the call is happening, sometimes the call is not happening. It's all fine. We're not to judge ourselves based on the activity or the movement in consciousness, just on just the keeping the intention of being open and empty.
You're using the word intention just reminded me. I guess one of the other fears that I sometimes Muji says that if you don't get it in this lifetime, you're gonna. He said something that my mind picked right up on. Then you start from scratch in the next lifetime. And I think, he doesn't say that necessarily as a truth, but as a motivating thing. But
Yeah, that's
he
true.
said,
Yeah, that's true.
I
But
think, I have a
yeah.
feeling to me, he'd say, no, not you. But
Uh,
he, but I remember Ramana
I've
saying
never
something that,
heard Guruji say that.
sorry,
I've never heard in
really?
my
Oh,
11 years that I've been with Guruji. I've
my mind
never
did.
heard him say that
Oh,
it is not for you. You see? I've
well,
never heard him. He
it's just,
always says that it is
I,
for everyone.
I
And
remembered Ramana, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
sorry, go ahead.
Ramana, I read a quote that he said that even the intention to inquire or to reach this is just the intention, even without any sort of success, is enough to sort of raise consciousness. So that's something that makes me feel like, okay, if I'm never going to get it, at least even my attempt is somehow helping, somehow something. I don't know. So
Yes, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, actually.
yeah,
Just the feeling in your heart, just the keeping the intention to have the darshan of the Lord, or to come to the recognition of yourself, or to come to this freedom. You see, is good as long as it is met with an openness and emptiness, the notionless existence, instead of feverishness of desire, of spiritual desire,
yeah,
which can then become an obstacle.
yeah,
If it is just kept as an innocent intention, and then you see, then you follow the guidance of openness, of emptiness, acceptance, whatever appeals to you, whatever spiritual guidance appeals to you, instead of it becoming like a feverish mantra of the me saying, I want it, I want it. Mhm. So,
yeah. Mine's more, I have to get it or else. If I don't get it, this life is a failure. It's like, yeah,
sometimes we say these things in satsang. Just when I feel like somebody is not paying attention to me, then something to shake you out of that sort
yeah,
of lethargy or something. No?
yeah.
Sometimes these things are said, but uh, but no, it is also the guru's problem to make it happen.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
sure I should give away that secret, but
Yeah. I think you've said it many times before, but yeah, thank you.
so good, my dear. So don't worry about the activity of the body. Just keep the intention to remain open and empty, no
Is
matter
it
what you.
okay to kind of also be open that if it is the time for the body to go, that's okay. I mean, to
Yes,
not necessarily fight, or to say, okay, I think this may be happening and there's nowhere to go, so I'm just going to be here with this.
yes,
I don't know,
yes, yes.
you know.
That's fine. That's very beautiful.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that if you find that you're fighting, you see, like physically, and you're calling doctors and saying something is really happening to me, but
Yeah.
you find yourself inwardly open and empty, then there's nothing to worry.
Sometimes I think the calling doctors is more of it's the conditioning, because that's what you're supposed to do. If you feel this pain, call 999. But I'm not sure that that's always what I want to. I like, it
And
doesn't feel necessarily right. So
yes, and
to
that
like to
nobody
maybe
can
have
tell
the
you.
option that if it feels right to just be there.
Yeah, yes. Nobody can tell you whether when you call 999 tomorrow, are you doing it out of a conditioned fear, or are you following your intuition from the heart? You
Yeah.
see, only you can tell moment to moment.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
why I don't want to tell you something like don't call 999 or do call 999.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you remain with your intuitive intelligence, then moment to moment you can follow it. You see?
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
It's
I'm
never
sorry.
going
I
to
take
happen.
so much time on this and it feels
Yeah,
it's so self-body centered.
it's to everyone, because the action of calling the doctor can be replaced with whatever we are feverish about, you see, and we can just allow that to fall into like an conceptual emptiness, and allow our intuitive intelligence to guide us whether it is needed or not. moment to moment.
Okay.
And that has actually been the theme of this satsang, if you notice, which is to not give guidance in terms of what to do or not to do, but to give you guidance into which voice to follow or
Okay.
which intelligence to follow when it feels like we're a bit lost about what to do.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Almost at the end.
Good morning. It's
Good
morning
morning.
here. Yeah, over here it's in the morning. Good
Yes, yes.
morning, Master.
Good.
Keeping with the conversation, I can see when I'm empty and without intention, not in a conceptual way, but rather like welcoming whatever comes up in the moment. But there are some times when I can feel that, for example, I'm engaged in an activity and I kind of relax with the mantra that whatever is meant to happen is going to happen. But then I find myself opposed, being in opposition with things that come up. For example, uh, when I'm too much time watching TV, such activities, and like there is when I'm doing an activity, I can feel a kind of separation between the one who is watching the TV and the one who is judging. Like
Yeah.
you are too much time on this, or you are not
Yeah.
doing well, you are not progressing spiritually. Um, and I like saying it now. I can say that even this separation is mind stuff, but in the moment, like I can't stop because I'm so engaged in this mental judgment, and I don't know like how to get out of this, since
Yeah.
it is said that one should be empty. I can find myself that in the moment I don't feel that empty and that thoughtless, if that is a good word. And like I say, but I have let go already. You see, I have
Yeah.
let go already, and this isn't working. It's like the analogy you said that one should be not even the experiencer nor the doer, something like that.
Yes. Yes.
The doer and the experiencer analogy. I
Yes.
find myself that maybe I have given up the concept of doer, but not yet the concept of experiencer, and it's difficult for me, like in sometimes to let go of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, if there is a how to, and I find myself like
Very,
being tense. Yes.
very good. Very good. First, I want to say thank you because in your question, I can see how much, how intently, how carefully you've been following satsang, and that touches my heart because you've really taken the pointers to heart and you are implementing them uh, in your life. So that is very good. I'm very happy to hear that. You see? Now, you spotted very well that there are some activities, you see, like watching TV or something else, which the mind will judge and say, no, no, but this is not being spiritual or this is not being open and empty. This is, but actually, I remember a story now. Many years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago, one lady came and she was from Australia. She was an Indian lady who was living in Australia. So she asked me, Anantaji, please, I need your help. I said, okay. So she said, can you please tell me your daily routine? Yeah? I said, no, 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 we don't need to talk about daily routine. And I said, no, no, please help me because I just want to know your daily routine. I said, I will tell you if you promise to keep coming to satsang. Huh? So I said yesterday, I don't know if I told her the whole day, but I said, yesterday I was watching a TV show till 2:30 in the morning. And I woke up this morning at 9:30 or something like that. And that lady never showed up for satsang. so, so, huh? Yeah, yeah, of course. Why not? What? What? You can watch this TV. Why can't you watch that TV? It's all a show. No? You watch this show or that show. How does it matter? There's show within the show. How does it matter so much? See, all of these like spiritual concepts can make us very heavy. Make us very heavy. You can't live like this. You can't do this. You can do this. But if you really inquire into it, what's the problem really? You see, if you're watching from a space of joy, openness, emptiness, what's the harm? You see, there's no trouble with any of that. So just like I was telling, and he's right, that is the same theme. It is never about the activity in itself. You see, it's always about the inner spaciousness. And I'm using the word inner provisionally, of course. You see, as we are open and empty, all things can flow from there. You see? The first silent retreat I attended with Guruji, one of the nights just for fun, he made us watch Kung Fu Panda. So what is there? So, so no judgment about any of this stuff. It's just fine. Whatever has to play out in life is just fine. You don't have to progress as a spiritual seeker or something like that. Don't have to progress as a spiritual seeker. Whatever happens in this, like when we become open and empty, sometimes what happens is we exclude this piece of perception from the rest of the openness and emptiness. See, we become accepting and open about everything, but we remain very judgmental about this set of perception. You see, but the entirety of the realm of perception has to be surrendered. Everything has to be surrendered. And which, by the way, I'm not advising anyone you should watch more TV. You see? It is not like the intellect only has the opposites: watch more TV or don't watch TV. You see, it's not that. I'm saying either way doesn't is not that important. What is important is that how open and empty you are. You see, while the play of life is going on. You see? So just like this, don't judge yourself on the basis of any of that. You see? Now, in those moments where you are identified, be identified. It's fine. You see, when you're fully identified, you're disidentified, like I was telling you yesterday. You see? And the moments when you're not fully identified, don't judge yourself harshly for being identified. You just remain open and empty in those moments. You see? That is, then it makes it very simple, easy. All this spiritual pressure of being worthy and doing it well and doing it right is taken away from us. You see? And just let life function in its own natural way, without us putting boxes about what is right, what is wrong. I need to do this more. I need to do this less. Leave all of that. Completely fine. And you're doing very
Yeah.
well. You're following very well, very well. I'm so happy. Where are you logging in from? What country are you in?
It's Peru.
Peru.
Peru. It's America. In America.
Yes, Peru. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very
Yes. Thank you.
good. I'm so happy
Thank
to
you.
hear you. So happy. Very good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good, good, good. We've not looked at the chat at all. So we'll play the bhajan and then I will go through the chat. It's amazing that so many of you are still here. Huh? It's been 3 hours now. If you have like things to do, work to do, and or if you're really like done with this stuff, you're super bored, but you're staying back because you don't want to seem disrespectful or something, don't worry about it. You see, just relax. Don't worry. Don't worry. I didn't remember that. साईं की नगरी परमा अति सुंदर, अति सुंदर, जहाँ कोई जावे ना मेरे, जहाँ कोई. I want to pause here. What a line, no? I'll play it again from the beginning. Nobody comes and goes from there. Beautiful. Now I'll stop interrupting. साईं की नगरी परमा अति सुंदर, अति सुंदर, जहाँ कोई जावे ना मेरे, जहाँ कोई जावे ना मेरे, चांद सूरज जहाँ, चांद सूरज जहाँ, पवन न पानी, पवन न पानी, को संदेश पहुँचावे रे, को संदेश पहुँचावे रे, दर्द यहाँ, दर्द यहाँ, दर्द यहाँ, साईं को सुनावे रे, नहीं हर बार, नहीं हर बार, नहीं हर बार, नहीं हर बार, हम का न भवे रे, हम का न भवे रे, नहीं हर बार, नहीं हर बार, नहीं हर बार. आगे चलूं तो पंथ ना सूझे, पंथ ना सूझे, आगे चलूं तो पंथ ना सूझे, पंथ ना सूझे, पीछे क्यों दोष लगावे रे, पीछे क्यों दोष लगावे रे, की विधि पिया कर जाओ मोरी सजनी, जाओ मोरी सजनी,
विषय रस यहाँ, विषय रस यहाँ, विषय रस यहाँ, नाचे नचावे रे नैहरवा, नैहरवा, नैहरवा। बिन सतगुरु बिन सतगुरु अपना नहीं कोई, अपनो नहीं कोई, जो यहाँ बतावे रे, जो यहाँ बतावे रे। कहते कबीरा, कहते कबीरा, सुनो भाई साधो, सुनो भाई साधो, साधो, साधो। सपने में प्रीतम आवे, हे सपने में प्रीतम आवे रे, तपन यहाँ, तपन यहाँ, तपन यहाँ, जिया की बुझावे रे नैहरवा, 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 नैहरवा। हम दान भवे रे, हम दान भवे रे नैहरवा, 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 नैहरवा।